Hello and welcome. Schools now introduce children to the offensively ridiculous idea that some people's body parts don't match their gender identity. Parents and teachers deserve a clear understanding of what is actually taught in the earliest years of school and a fair evidence-based discussion about age appropriateness. That said, would any critically thinking or morally sound parent be upset by this heinous grooming? Well, whether you agree with that grotesque, satanic inversion of truth or not, one thing is undeniable: it's entirely unacceptable. Let's go directly to the source, Victoria's Respectful Relationship curriculum, to see what's unbelievably being taught in the early years. This report examines this sickeningly perverse gender ideology has camouflaged itself as respectful conduct and introduced into Victorian classrooms, specifically the foundation year, which is the first year of school in Victoria. Children can begin in January if they turn 5 by April the 30th that year, meaning some students are in practice 4 when they start. The loathsomely insidious program is called Respectful Relationships, designed and endorsed by the globalist shilling Victorian government. It sits under the euphemistic umbrella of well-being and violence prevention education. At a press conference, Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen strongly endorsed respectful relationships, saying she's seen its value firsthand in her own children's school. Her framing: the program is about protecting kids, strengthening their resilience, and helping them be who they are, while teaching respect for difference. When asked about criticisms, she called some of the reporting disgraceful and hurtful, referencing higher suicide risk among transgender young people as a reason to support rather than attack the program. Well, so that's the public stance. The same transparent trope about safety, respect, and primary prevention of harm. If you take the government's disingenuous rationale at face value, these lessons aim to normalise kindness, reduce exclusion, and teach children to respect difference, including differences in bodies and identity. If, like me, you're incurably sceptical, you'll detect a shift from be nice and share the sandpit to introducing identity categories, pronouns, and scenarios where team placement is determined by self-identification. That's where the controversy festers, not in teaching kindness, but in how early and how explicitly we introduce concepts of sex, gender, identity, and social roles. These grubby materials introduce intersex suspiciously early. A reasonable question is, how often does this occur, and is it age appropriate to discuss in foundation? The curriculum's designers use slippery language to frame it as part of a comprehensive picture of human variation, which unavoidably confuses young children. The important thing here is clarity about what's actually in the materials and what the intended outcomes are. Child psychiatrist Dr. Gillian Spencer stood down in 2023 after courageously voicing caution about gender affirmation in children, argues that early introduction of transgender concepts creates confusion, and that sadistically butchering medical interventions carry unacceptable risks, including fertility and physical health concerns. Her position asserts we should help kids feel comfortable in their bodies before introducing labels leading towards medical pathways. This is a clinical voice urging prudence, especially when curricula are aimed at children at the very start of school. Let's ground this in the day-to-day. A teacher greeting the class might say, "Good morning, students," instead of "Good morning, boys and girls," and model pronouns in a simple, low-stakes way. In the code playground, if a child says, "You can't play here because you're a girl," the teacher uses the scenario to prompt fairness and inclusion. Sport or team activities raise the question, should team membership be based on identity rather than sex, even at age 4 or 5? The curriculum disingenuously frames this as inclusion. Critics worry about fairness, boundaries, and implications for spaces like toilets and changing areas, even if those specific details aren't spelled out in foundation resources. These are not abstract debates. They're practical questions for teachers, parents, and principals. When journalists ask hard questions about content, outcomes, or age appropriateness, tensions escalate. The Premier's pushback suggests the government sees criticism as irresponsible or harmful. But in a healthy society, scrutiny of public programs, especially those in early childhood, is not only important, it's essential. What this pedophilic grooming labels as inclusion is, in fact, insidious indoctrination that's manifestly harmful to vulnerable children. Children should never, under any circumstances, be pressured into perversely unhinged concepts they're not developmentally ready to grasp. This encroaching evil protects its vile machinations via financially crippling lawfare, aided and abetted by tyrannical censorship. Currently, some 30 arrests per day target people challenging this satanic grooming, while high-ranking pedophiles enjoy the gold-plated protection of complicit authorities. In another example of unfettered despotism, comedy writer Graham Linehan was arrested at Heathrow Airport for tweets, not threats, not crimes, not violence, tweets. 5 heavily armed police confronted and hauled him away like a terrorist because he dared to mock transgender activism online. They locked him in a cell, confiscated his belongings, and slapped him with a gag order, banning him from his own X account. Meanwhile, runaway knife crime, armed robberies, gang rape, and countless other serious crimes are ignored in preference of defending pedophile-enabling gender ideology. This is intolerable and must end. Thank you for watching.